Well, next I am proud to introduce Paul Scott from Plug-in America. We thought it was important to have him here for this. We brought him in from California. He is another one of those long-time EV advocates who's been at this for decades. He knows all of the concerns. He's talked to each and every issue. He understands the infrastructure issues, the geopolitical issues, the environmental issues, and he loves to drive EVs. Paul?
First of all, thank you, John and Gary, for bringing me up here. I'm an Oregonian. 23 years I lived in Eugene, and I moved down to California about 13 years ago and was in the film business at that time, but shortly after I got involved in solar energy and then electric cars. In 2002, I installed a solar system on my house in Santa Monica, and then about 3 months later, bought my first electric car, a Toyota RAV4 EV, which I still drive. So I've been driving on Sunshine now for about 8.5 years. My electric bill averages about $100 per year for both the house and the car. I haven't been to a gas station since 2002, and I've driven 90,000 miles on Sunlight. This is in your future. Many of you already have solar, and some of you have electric cars and solar, so you understand the EV-PV connection. And I just want you to know that that's going to become available for everybody very soon. But I want to give a little perspective, a little context on why this is important. You've heard from many speakers today talking about the government and private investment in this technology. And I want you to know why it's important that the government step up and help us get it started, get it launched. Obviously, the federal government, with the backing of Barack Obama and Stephen Chu, has been very generous to the industry with a total of $14.1 billion allocated for the plug-in car. Many people will say, why are we doing that? Why don't these cars stand on their own? Well, it's because we have an unlevel playing field. Many of you know this. A lot of the external costs of oil are not in the price. You're paying just about $4 a gallon for gasoline, but none of that covers the wars for oil. We're in 3 wars for oil right now. We've spent over $1.5 trillion in the last decade on these wars. We've lost thousands of soldiers. We've lost tens of thousands to severe injuries, and we'll be paying for those people for the rest of their lives at estimated costs of $1 to $2 trillion more. This is a cost of oil that is not in the price of a gallon of gas when you buy it. In addition, as we saw last summer with the big Gulf oil spill, it was a massive oil spill, and it was right on our doorstep, and it defouled the entire Gulf, killed thousands of animals, probably hundreds of thousands of animals, and spoiled the entire Gulf coast for months and months. Many thousands of people lost their jobs over this. And that's just one oil spill. We have a major oil spill virtually every day on the planet. You only hear about the really big ones. Again, when you burn gas in a gasoline engine, you're fouling the air a lot. And the World Health Organization estimates that we lose several tens of thousands of Americans every year to the pollution from internal combustion. When you buy a gallon of gas, you pay nothing for that. Again, these are external costs that you're not paying for. Therefore, you've got this unlevel playing field, and this is why we need the federal and state governments to step up and help us launch this technology. In addition to the geopolitical and environmental aspects of these cars, another big one is the economy. Now, we're spending something like $1 billion a day for foreign oil right now. It's $1,000 million leaving our country every single day. In the state of Oregon, you guys spent last year about $6.6 billion for gasoline. 90% of that money left Oregon. Over $6 billion leaving the state of Oregon. Now, I know you've got a decent economy here, but it could be a whole lot better. A lot of people could get jobs if indeed we had that $6 billion back in the economy. When you drive an electric car, 100 100% of your money stays local. So you're going to be giving PGE a small amount, maybe 15 to 20% what you were giving the oil companies. The rest of the money, that 85% of that dollar you used to give the oil companies, stays in your pocket. What are you going to do with that? You can buy, you could buy local goods and services. You could invest some. You could donate some to, your favorite charity. But you're not going to give it to the oil companies. Now, I know that personally, that feels really good. I've been there for 8 years now, and I don't give the oil companies any of my money. I donate $300 a year to Planned Parenthood. That's my little contribution. That's money I used to give the oil companies, and I really love when I write that check to Planned Parenthood because I know they're going to do some good with it. And the rest of the money, I spend it on movies and restaurants and whatever else I want. It's money I used to give the oil companies. So what happens when, not just a few hundred or a few thousand people are doing that, but tens of millions of you are doing that? That spigot of money that each of you has going to the oil companies, each one of you, when you get an electric car, you turn it off. You divert that money somewhere else. The oil companies, not going to worry about them too much. They're going to sell 100% of their product for as long as they've got it. But it's not going to be your money that they're getting. And what do they do with the money? Now, this is a biggie. In the first 3 months, of this year, the 6 big oil companies earned $32 billion in profit. 1 quarter, $32 billion in profit. Now, last year they threw $148 million at Congress, a drop in the bucket, pennies. And they bought all the Republicans and just enough blue dog Democrats from passing any remarkable or any usable energy legislation. So they shut down Congress. They know how to do it. Because all you have to do is buy enough of them to keep us from getting 60 votes in the Senate, and you can't do anything. Obama is stuck. As much as he'd like to get done, he can't. And the oil industry is pouring money into Congress. And they pour it into local elections, national elections, everywhere they can to affect it. Because they don't want you to have the choice. But now you do. And here's the good news. So I've given you a lot of context of why this is important. But, as of 2 years ago, you had one choice of buying an electric car. You could buy a Tesla Roadster for $110,000. And one lucky gentleman's got one over here. Now, they've sold 1,800 of those cars, and they're about to come out with their Model S next year, which would be a lot lower in price and a lot more practical for the rest of us. But what else has happened in the last couple of years? Well, we now have 2 other entrants into the market, the Chevy Volt and the Nissan Leaf. I recently started working for Nissan in Santa Monica selling the Leaf. I can't tell you how exciting that is to be actually, instead of a political advocate, rooting for these cars to come back to market, to actually be employed selling them to people who desperately want one. Well, right now we've got, as of 2 days ago, we sold or delivered our 4,000th Leaf in the U.S. There's over 2,000 Volts, and by the end of the year we'll have about 10 or 15,000 of each of these cars in the U.S. Again, a drop in the bucket. Next year, 15 to 20,000 of each will be sold in the U.S. in addition to Ford, Mitsubishi, Volvo, Mercedes, Subaru, and BMW. All are bringing electric cars to the market, if not this calendar year, next calendar year. And then after that, all the rest. Because every car maker on the planet is building an electric car. So in Nissan's case, we're still talking low numbers because they're all being built in Yokohama and shipped into Japan, the U.S., and then Europe. So we're having to split 50,000 units a year across the entire world. But late next year in Tennessee, the largest car plant in the U.S. is owned by Nissan, just south of Nashville. And they churn out a new Nissan every 27 seconds. It's a big plant. They're building a battery factory, and this is due to Stephen Chu loaning them $1.6 billion to build this battery factory. That battery factory comes online next fall. As soon as it does, they open up a line of Leafs at this factory in Tennessee. Their goal is to make 150,000 Leafs a year in Tennessee, all for domestic consumption. In addition, a Nissan plant is going into England in early 2013. They'll be making 50,000 Leafs a year there for the European continent. And then the Yokohama plant will just serve Japan and Asia. So we'll have a capacity of just around 250,000 cars a year. Just on the Leaf alone. We're coming out with new models as well in about a year and a half. So at that point, you'll be able to walk into any Nissan dealer, any Chevy dealer, and just buy a car and drive off. No more waiting 3 to 5 to 8 months to get your car. And as the price of gas goes up, and as you see what the oil industry is doing to you and to your country, I hope that energizes you to get in line early and get these cars and stop giving them your money, stop polluting everybody else's air, and do the right thing. I'm going to close with just another comment. I run into people every day when I deliver these cars, and first of all, I got to say that every single one of them is so excited to get it and finally get rid of that gas burner off the road, replacing it with this quiet electric car. I want you to envision, because a lot of you in the summertime here in Oregon, the weather's beautiful. You're all sitting outside enjoying coffee or food or whatever at a courtside table, and I want you to start watching and paying attention to the traffic around you, and think about the noise that you're getting from them. Think about the pollution that they're dumping into the air that you're breathing, and then just go out 10, 15, 20 years and think about what it's going to be like when all those are electric. How much quieter it's going to be, how much cleaner the environment will be, how much wealthier your community will be. And that's the goal. That's what we're aiming for, and that's where we're going to get as fast as we can build the cars. Thank you so much.
Yeah!
Thanks so much, Paul. Always happy to hear from Paul. Well, folks, that concludes the list of speakers we have. I want to thank you for coming out and encourage you to take a look. Check with all of the folks that brought something for you to read or people to talk to about the EV infrastructure and EV projects that are going on. Take a look at the 1920 Melbourne. Is it 1920? Anyway, the Melbourne, our oldest electric car here. There's a lot of converted cars, a few of the new Nissan Leafs, obviously, and this beautiful Tesla. And just thanks for coming out, and enjoy the rest of the day.